You're with Julian on the Brown Note and a review of Under Tangled Silence by Djrum, who is Felix Manuel, not Emmanuel, Felix Manuel, who is, it says here, a British DJ and producer. Name sounds a little bit Portuguese to me, so I'm not sure but what the studio discography is like here or anything at all, but it's one of the best electronic releases of the last few years. One of the classiest and most listenable. It is really, really good. You can pronounce it drum, but that doesn't sound as good as DJ Rum. They're both spelt the same, but they don't have quite the same cachet when it comes to how they sound. I love the sound of DJ Rum. I'm just trying to realise I haven't got the track list. I'll see if I can get through it. So it opens, so a big part of this is apparently he's a virtuoso on the piano. So virtually every track on this album has some beautiful piano, which is, the reverb on it sounds like it's a parlour room, but quite classical, and very dexterous piano playing. And that's the opener, A Tune for Us. It's got these cascading pianos that go all the way through a lot of these tracks, and soaring strings which don't appear as often, but very effectively. It's a very classy album. And it builds up gentle momentum, so I like lots of little streams coalescing into a river. And eventually we get some syncopated live drums, which, considering one of the biggest selling point of this album is the electronic drum programming, here we actually get full-blown syncopated live drums. There's a track by someone called Sébastien Teller, a French dude, whose music is apparently quite naff. But he did a 9-minute track called La Ritournelle, which is a masterpiece. And that was probably 15 years ago, but a real standout track. And it really does remind me of that. And I think it does set a pace for the first half of this album, which is, it's not quite compelling. It is just really superb and lovely. And broadly the same with Wax Cap, the second track. Just the elements are a lot busier. A few more ambient embellishments going on, and their first sort of headway into electronic percussion. The album really comes into focus in its back few tracks, which are very long and probably occupy half the album, whereas the opening half is a lot more sort of tasteful. Unweaving, track 3. It's just a solo piano piece. Again, the playing is very, very dexterous, and you could almost imagine this album being recontextualized with nothing but the piano. And that would be an interesting release, I think. The first real kickoff is L'Ancienne, track 4. That's the first one with a really full-blown heavy beat, which I really liked. And the first time that the main person I thought of for much of the second half of the album rears his ugly head, Mr. Richard D. James, the Aphex Twin, due to the very dexterous and mutating percussion, the electronic percussion that happens throughout, which reminded me of 90s Aphex. And that becomes a much bigger reference as the album progresses, with the whole sort of skipping and mutating and flipping backwards and forwards beats. Almost a 90s trip-hop vibe via the Leftism album, I felt. We get an interlude, a couple of interludes. Galaxy of Silence, that has the biggest, fullest, most compelling percussion yet. And some early 90s synth patterns as well. Very analog bubble bath era Aphex Twin, I thought, with the synth pads. And the sort of ends with, it's got these soaring strings again, but they reminded me of that first Godspeed You Black Emperor album, A Sharp, F Sharp, Infinity, which is, well, their second album, but their first proper release. which carries over into the next one as well, which is Reprise, another interlude, but that's got some very Godspeed sounding like that, the Dead Flag Blues track. And it really does start to kick off with the last 4 tracks, which are momentously heavier than the rest of the album and far more percussive. The wonderfully named and accurately named 3 foxes chasing each other. It's got these full-blown phasing road drills going off before it drops into sort of like this hyperkinetic African house music. Ironically, it most reminded me of, I think it's a South African house music, amapiano, which I think is like a Zulu word for pianos, which is fitting, I guess. And the first real sub-bass going on. Very hyper-glitchy percussion. All these tracks now are outstanding, the final 4. Let Me, it's got like 90s breakbeat and drum and bass patterns going on. Almost a bit orbital as well. Out of Dust is really based on percussion now. The piano-led tracks have gone. Very strong drum programming. And I have to say the percussion on this album is fantastic. The production on this album is fantastic. Really high fidelity. It sounds fantastic. It's a really nice listen. It's just like, you know, for people that aren't particularly into dance music, it's a great album to listen to. And some heavy strobing kicks on that one. And the longest track, Sycamore, track 11, is 11 minutes long. And it's the most drum-based of all. Got these really tribal high-speed toms and big cavernous drops on it as well. I was going to give this album a slightly higher score, but I have to look back on the albums I've given 9.5 to, and that's Dev Heaven and Lost to Thanica. My 2 favourite albums of the year are significantly better, I feel. If there's any qualms that stop it getting such a high rating, it's a bit like it's really classy but a little bit too polite. The songs don't mutate as much through them. They kind of are in that pocket from the first minute or so. As soon as you hit any major element, that's pretty much where it's going. And also there's no sort of lightning in the bottle madness going on here at all. It's just pure class and unbelievably listenable. So I'm going to give Under Tangled Silence by Djrum, which is probably the best electronic album I've heard in the last couple of years, a 9 out of 10.